gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is me, Dukect, back on my PC. Yes, I am back 100% here live on the Dukect Lounge. Thank you so much for joining me here on TalkShoe.com. And also, if you're not hearing me live, how dare you? You can find me on YouTube.com/DukecT and also on FreakingAwesomeNetwork.com and MedicExpression.com and on iTunes, so you can listen and download this while you're working or you're doing things, making videos, and all the good things you guys and gals are doing on this, while listening to me, Dukect. So, what a week. What a week in the world of pro wrestling. And on some other things, I am going to be talking a little bit of movie stuff. I'm going to try some, because I just recently saw this movie, the Cloverfield Paradox. I'll be talking about that, my review of the movie. And, I'll give my thoughts about that later on. It's an interesting film, but I'll get into what the meat and potatoes of this later on in the broadcast. It's called Tease, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. We're going to be talking about this supposed thing here is this supposedly backstage thing, which could be completely untrue, because this is a news reported from let's see, it is Triple H. It's the news basically. Supposedly getting more power, and according to Give Me, it's a Give. It's on GiveMeSport.com. Is supposedly Triple H is getting more power in WWE. Vince McMahon made the announcement earlier this year that according to the article here, it says. Vince McMahon made an announcement earlier this year that he will be bringing back his formerly defunct professional football league, the XFL. He describes it as football reimagined, even though I honestly think it's going to be a failure anyway, because we're oversaturated with the sport. And no amount of standing on the flag will change that, because once you have a overabundance of something, people seem to get tired of it. Yeah, that's just simple. People are just tired of it. Less is more. And honestly, I think people are wanting for a new sport to come and take its place. I'm thinking it's going to be either baseball or basketball. I would not be surprised in the next 2 to 3 years, you're going to see the NFL take a slide back to the third place, and you'll see something like baseball or basketball. I think baseball and basketball will leap up. I would say the NHL, but honestly, they got a whole rack of issues. Believe you me, and I don't think it's going to be fixed anytime soon. So, now out of the way, let's continue on. Anyway, it says, during the XFL relaunch press conference, McMahon was asked how his involvement with the XFL would impact his day-to-day operations in WWE. His answer? It won't. I doubt that, because he's going to be doing both. That's not going to be the case, because according to Dave Meltzer, which is something, we don't know what it is, maybe not, but he does have some sources in WWE. He says, reports McMahon and son-in-law Triple H will be seeing much more power within the company due to the XFL relaunch. And he says McMahon's limited time being taken up by the XFL could lead some changes, and that's the feeling of backstage WWE. And look at the recent signings they had. I mean, the article goes down talking about Jerry Borash NXT, and it says it's being described as a lot bigger than hiring a guy, because like Jerry Borash wore a lot of hats in TNA and Impact Wrestling. He he did announcing, he did this stuff. He did a lot of stuff behind the scenes, making that place run as good as it did. And I think he's setting him up for that. I think he's setting Jeremy Borash, who, let me see how old he is, because he's been there for a long while. He's only 43. Yeah, Jeremy Borash is 43 years old. And that's interesting. I think it's going to be, I think he will probably inherit the NXT. I think he's going to take over NXT fully the next couple of years. Who knows? But the article continues. He says that one piece of evidence is reported as true is that McMahon is running NXT and 205 Live. And a lot of people, and I worry about that because NXT has devolved just to indie matches and no character development. Other than developing Dream and Johnny Gargano for the most part, there's no real good characters. No characters and such. And that worries me. There's wrestlers I like, but they just, I like AOP, they're off the pain. Like I said, Velvet Dream's good. Johnny Gargano's, I like seeing Almas. There's actually some characters and careers to that, which, sadly, the character stuff really took a hit when the great legend Dusty Rhodes passed on, because, Dusty Rhodes did have an eye for characters in the world of pro wrestling, and NXT really felt, not just the world of wrestling took a loss that day, but the way NXT was handled as well, because it just felt lost. Just relying on great matches, and that's it. That's why it was just spinning its wheels for a long while. I barely even watched any takeovers. It just became boring, and I didn't care for it. Now I think there's a bit more energy. Maybe Jeremy Borash can help some people with their characters and doing that type of stuff, but I think it's going to be really cool. I think it's going to be really interesting going on in NXT. Maybe it can be developmental again. And as for 205 Live, look, I'm going to say this right now. The reason why 205 Live is failing is because it's what I was talking about earlier. It is oversaturation. Because let's look at it. Monday Night Raw is 3 hours. Then the next night you got SmackDown. That's 2 hours. That's 5 hours of pro wrestling content. Then NXT. Oh, no. And you add 205 Live later on. That's another hour. And and scratch that. You have Mixed Match Challenge is like 15 minutes. So you have an hour and 15 to 16 minutes. 16 to 17 minutes. Mixed Match Challenge was like, 17, 18 minutes plus an hour. So that's like what? An hour and 18 minutes of extra content after SmackDown. So that's 3 hours and 18 minutes. And, Raw, 3 hours plus overrun. So that basically adds up too. So you got 6 hours and let's see, 8 hours and 36. Let's see, 36 minutes. Yeah, 8 hours and 36 minutes. Don't quote me on that. 8 hours and 36 minutes. And then you have NXT. That's another hour. And that's like what? 9 hours of wrestling. 9 hours. And not including takeovers, was like 2+ hours. So you got 11. And then you have a pay-per-view event itself on Sundays as well. So you have a total of like 9. Let's see, like 12 hours. 12+ hours of wrestling. You didn't even watch this WrestleMania. That's just that gets like extra couple hours. That's like over 13 hours plus wrestling a week. And that's not getting to the extras, all the other stuff they put on the network. So 205 Live suffers with the same thing, like I said, oversaturation about the NFL, oversaturation. At this point, the best thing they need to do is just cut the division entirely. I know they're going to try to do the whole 205 Live tournament, which people say it reminds me so much of the 205 Live, the Cruiserweight Classic, which is nice. I like the Cruiserweight Classic. But at the end of the day, the 205 Live is, to me, a dead product. I don't care how much does you tricks, unless you could just say, after the Cruiserweight belt, end it and have these guys go some Raw and SmackDown. Have Drew Gulak and Tony Nese do some cool stuff on the Raw, SmackDown there. Have Tozawa and Cruz team up. Put them back in titles worldwide. They were actually interesting. Tozawa and Cruz, they have great chemistry with each other. Why are they not together on that? I mean, Titus O'Neil is great as a manager. So why not have him as a manager? Have Tozawa, have Apollo Crews, Titus Worldwide with Dana Brooke, you will have some really good talent. I think it could be something really good. I think you could actually have something very positive here. You can have something really good and something that you could actually, do something and everything else. Let's see. That's what's missing, ladies and gentlemen, is if you could, and I think a lot of people would be a lot happier if they actually did. I think if you actually sat there and actually did do something like that to take away, end 205 Live, cut Raw to an hour, for 2 hours, and actually, space them out entirely, I think you will have a very good and interesting, less is more. They need to start lessening their content because, again, oversaturation and, and bring more of the characters that actually people will care for. If you can't get the characters over for 3 hours of Raw, you have over 3 hours of Monday Night Raw to get their character. I mean, I remember, back in the day, that Raw only had 2 hours, and they got almost everyone in that roster over with interesting stuff. They had their stuff to do on Raw. They somehow got even the lower mid cards has something to do. People might hate on Vince Russo, but he got something for everybody to do. Everyone was involved. Nowadays, they're just just great wrestling to not be just I like some good wrestling. I love good wrestling. But if you don't give me a reason to show up, let me see a reason why these two are fighting. Give me a reason why these characters are actually doing the things that they're doing in that ring. What makes them take? Who are they? Why are they? Why are they doing this? Is it for a championship? Is it for a feud? Is it for a chance for a championship? What is it? Give me a reason to care. And even that, give me a reason to care for the characters. Give me that. And I think if you could give me something like that, you can have something interesting for, you can have something very interesting, something that actually can be used for, to bring some fans into WWE and bring them actually something, something, not just for characters, something that actually people are going to be like, wow, you know what? This right here is the reason why this is why I watch wrestling, because of the characters, not only just the athletic competition, but also the reason why the characters there. Not everyone's going to love Ring of Honor. WWE got big for not just their in-ring stuff, because they had great in-ring competition and stuff there, but it got big and defeated this competition by its characters and by its overrun, is the stories they're telling in the ring, and their their characters were so over the top and memorable and quotable, that sort of thing. That is what WWE's bread and butter is. And if the WWE continues to forget that part, they will be continually to not get people in the arenas anymore. I mean, they're not just, you can have the greatest wrestling match in the world, but if you have to tarp out half of the arena to showcase that is a problem. When your ratings are just going down lower and lower, and the only time you can actually bring them up is when we had to do a nostalgia fest to basically 3.0, and then it goes right back down to 2s, because your regular programming cannot connect to the audience, no one the characters care about. That's a problem. When you have wrestlers who are, even if they give them everything you want, and they still are just beaten down, tired, and they're like, they want to either just, think about leaving or just want to sit out the rest of that contract. That's a problem. And hopefully that the WWE fixes this issue. And hopefully Triple H, if you want to go by his government name, Paul Leverstique or whatever, You're not going to. Let me just see. There's Paul Michael Leverstick. If he's gonna be that dude, Paul. If you're gonna be that dude, man, hopefully you can. Because this has been a problem for many years in WWE. But that's just my personal opinion. Anyway, we're gonna take a small break here. We're gonna listen. Let's see, what should we listen? Let's play some little Speeding Towards Adventure. Sonic 25 Years of Sonic the Hedgehog. I haven't been able to play this because it was on the PC while being in the shop. Goodbye with all my memories here, so it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. So anyway, we're going to play some Never Fear to Fall from Sonic the Hedgehog's, interesting adventure in '06. And it is playing, and the artist is PI511. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name. Anyway, thanks so much for listening. This is Dukect Lounge. We'll be right back right after this. And when we do return, we'll be listening and talking about the newest movie in the Cloverfield saga, the Cloverfield Paradox. We'll be right back right after this. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. We're back here, live on the Dukect Lounge. Thank you so much for joining me here on TalkShoe.com, and also on. If you're not listening live, shame on you. You can listen to me on YouTube.com/Dukect, and you'll listen to me on there. Also on the freakingawesomenetwork.com, and also on Manic Expression and ManicExpression.com, and also on iTunes as well. So if you want to sit back, listen to me on your iPod, your iPad, this, that, and the other, you can just listen to me, Dukect, while you're doing your thing. And if you are here live, remember the number to call in, to connect to me, Dukect, is 724-444-7444. Once again, the number is 724-444-7444. And the call ID to connect to me, Dukect, is 92417. Once again, the call ID is 92417. Chat room is open, so if you can't call in, you can use the chat room and let me hear your thoughts. So do not worry. It is a nice place, a good place for everyone to sit back and relax. Let's see. Oh, gosh. Note to self, never have Discord open. In some places, you will open your eyes and see things that you just don't want to see. Well, anyway, I'm not going to talk about things that are disturbing. Let's talk about something that's actually. But anyway, the glow, the the next film of the Cloverfield, the next film of the Cloverfield saga, the Cloverfield Paradox. What a movie! What a thing! What a interesting movie that was. It's an interesting that just meant what exactly? Well, honestly, I looked at it and I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, it's a movie, and it's interesting to say the least. And originally, it was supposed to be called the God Particle, and that was supposed to be it. And that was it. It was supposed to be. And here's the thing: the production was announced. The film was announced under the title God Particle, and it was, it's going to be script by Oren Usul, and and directed by Joris Ona, with Bad Robot Productions, headed by J.J. Abrams as production studio. It was set to be released under Paramount's Insurge label, limiting the budget to $5 to $10 million. At this stage, that was it. That was supposed to be it. The original stuff was going to be about, take place on a space station, and there's an incident, and it calls the crew that has gone missing, and that was originally going to be the story. But then, well, they picked. Let's see. I think the pickup of the film occurred. They picked it up the film. Paramount picked up the film. They bought the rights to the spec script, The Cellar, by Josh Campbell and Max Strucken, which eventually became the 10 Cloverfield Lane, which was a really good movie. Seriously, 10 Cloverfield Lane, I think, is probably one of the best suspension movies I've seen in a long while. And it was just a really good movie. It was like, a good closet, real good suspension movies. You don't see this movie, and it snuck up on everybody. It snuck up on everybody. Didn't think it was gonna happen. I'm like, wow, this is really good. It was just the cast was great. John Goodman was great. Mary Elizabeth Winstead was great. John Gallo Jr. looking like a farmer, like even more Southern AJ Styles, was decent. So yeah, I think it was actually really good, and I really it just I really did. It deserved it so much. It was just very good and something like that. But this sequel, man, that was not good. The first part of the film I really did like. I think it was actually really good. We'll get to the movie later, but let's get back to the release and everything else. Let's get back to that. And this is let's see. You had the cast was good, but you see, you had release was going to they were going to the God Particle to to Cloverfield, but then it was like. And it was originally it was by December 2016 that, after, they basically had this under wraps. And then December 2016, they said it was going to be 2007 Cloverfield movie. Paramount restarted the film release from February 2017 to October 2017 to get more time in post-production. The film suffered 2 additional delays, and then in July 2017, it released it. It was announced it was released. It has been delayed another 3 months to February 2018. And in January 2018, the release was moved to a third time, 2018, April 20th, 2018. And no one knew what was going on. and it was a Cloverfield uh, alternative reality game that was relaunched and provided some hints of how the film was going to be too. So this viral marketing again. Then around late 20 January, the Hollywood Reporter stated that Netflix was interested in picking up the film in Paramount, following a similar deal. By the way, I'm reading this from Wikipedia, so so maybe this is all right or wrong. But he says, following a similar deal, the streaming service worked out film Annihilation, another big thing, which is going to be interesting. I think this is going to come out on. It was going to be released into. It's going to be released in distributed in North America and through Paramount Pictures and Movies, and it's going to be that and Netflix is going to handle distribution internationally. So that's going to be interesting. North America and China, Paramount Pictures are releasing in North America and China. Everywhere else, they get on Netflix, which is going to be interesting. But Paramount's, anyway, back to the point. Paramount's chairman, Jim Galapagos, felt the film's budget, which was ballooned over $40 million, the initial $5 million, was too large for the film to be profitable with a traditional theatrical release, and that still needed work done. And while Abrams expressed intent to get down to business in post-production, it was too little too late. Following the film's release, Hollywood Reporter stated Netflix paid more than $50 million for the rights, with negotiations starting in, $50 million for this movie. Negotiations starting in late December 2017, completed by mid-January 2018. The offer made the film immediately profitable to Paramount, and the studio retained the home media release rights. And then, around this time, especially when the film being named Cloverfield Station arose, it was not confirmed by Paramount, yada, yada, yada. Then we hit to February 4th, the day of the Super Bowl. And then, bam, surprise announcement during the commercial. Netflix had a commercial. Basically said they acquired the rights pre-match to the film, now titled The Cloverfield Paradox, and will be available on the service immediately after the game. And that's like, wow, that was insane. And just didn't know what's going on. The trailer didn't say anything about what's going on, how this ties into the story. And they're like, oh, wow, I'm really interested. And I went in a couple days later because I had some other stuff and I didn't want to watch the show then. Now I was like, not really. No, I watched it on Wednesday when I was coming home from on my phone, sitting there relaxing. It was raining. I said, what the heck? I'm just gonna sit and watch. I'm gonna watch the Cloverfield Paradox. And I sat and watched it. And let me tell you something. The history of this film is more interesting for the most part than, the film itself. Okay, let's see. Let's go and talk about let's see. Let's go and get into it. The year 2028 and the future. The planet Earth is suffering from a global energy crisis, and space agencies around the world are finally lining up people to fix this issue with the separate particle accelerator above Cloverfield Station, which will provide Earth with infinite energy and to save the world and all that good stuff. And the crew is The crew of this, among the crew is Ava Hamilton, played by Guru Meba Raw. If I mispronounced her name, I apologize. This was I never heard of her before, even though she has had a pretty good run as a film and television. She was the Free State of Jones, Rachel Knight, The Whole Truth, Miss Sloan. She was part of that. She was in Beauty and the Beast. Let's see. Oh, and she's also going to be in A Wrinkle of Time. A Wrinkle in Time, which is coming out later this year as well. So this looks like to be a very interesting. She does have her stuff, very interesting, good stuff here. She was also in Doctor Who, and so I think she will like the stuff anyway. Um, anyway, she and her husband. She talks about her husband about the blackouts in the car, like, okay, what's going on? And they were like a friend leaving by the husband, a doctor for years, and then relationship struggles after they lost their children to a house fire. I'm like, yeah, ooh, that's just they just said right there. Since losing their kids and that sort of stuff, since losing their kids and by the way, the husband. Michael, who was played by Roger Davis, who, let's see, who was, he was, let's see, he is a British film actor. My gosh, this guy has no Wikipedia page. He was best known as the character Vinny Rodriguez in UK, Nickelodeon UK series Renford Rejects. It was 1998 to 2001. That's it. And that was pretty much it. That's his whole career. Wow, that's just sad. So he's probably happy. At least we'll bump up his resume a bit. So yeah, he's going to hey, they like, what, go up there and save the world, Ava. Go ahead and save the world. And then they were up there. And Earth opening the Earth, doing the entire unsuccessful testing of the Shepherd. And they eventually, and it looks like, they look like they're fine, and they failed countless times, and the crew is knowing each other for a while, and they're like, okay, we're getting closer to each other, yeah. Even though there's a bit of anger there. There's like dissension, saying there's like some people are, they think, Volkov, there's a dude, Volkov, who's like Russian, who's like played by Annie Henny, who I think, and he's funny enough, he's from Norway, so okay, and let's see, he played the Martian. Oh, he was in The Martian. Also Headhunters. It was no reason action film. He was also in 24, Live Another Day. So yeah, and let's see, Last Nights. Yeah. And also Nobel. Interesting. So yeah, interesting actor. Anyway, and then you had Daniel Brew as Smith. I think I had heard this name before. Oh yeah, he was the German war hero in the Inglourious Basterds, who looked a little bit like Skrull. I'm like, if they were gonna make a movie about Skrull, that's it. That just dumb, that complete dense dude who no one cares. But yeah, he has he was with let's see, he was in Bold Ultimatum, 2 Days in Paris, Inglourious Basterds and such. Let's see what else. Rush. He was in Rush. Oh yes, that movie. Gosh, I would love that. I'm like, serious. That should have won an Oscar. And everything else. That was a great racing movie. Seriously, one of the best. I would love that movie. Let's see, The Fifth Estate, Zookeeper's Wife. And yeah, he was in a lot of interesting films. And let's see, David Owell as Kel. Let's see, as the leader of the of the group, the shepherd, as it were. And let's see, what are his films though? He was the butler. Oh, he was Red Tails. Rise of Planet of the Apes is the evil black dude. Let's see, Nightingale, Selma. Oh, he was in Selma. Yeah, he was in Selma. And let's see. He's gonna be in a movie called Gringo. Oh, that's gonna be fun. So, but yeah, it does have Joel Engine and C Star on, so at least we halfway decent, hopefully. And let's see who else a big name here. You had John Ortiz as Monk. Let's see, he was he was in Carlito's Way. He was in he has a interesting resume too. He was also in let's see, what is with Jack Goes. He was in Fast and Furious 2009, Fast and Furious 6 as Taro Vega, Black Hat. Let's see, I think it was Steve Jobs for like no, he was not that Steve Jobs, but he was in the movie Steve Jobs. Carlito's Way. He's like a nice journeyman actor. And you have a lot of people here who are this. You have then you have Zing. I have no idea why they had this. Let's see, this woman from I think China, basically speaking in like Mandarin, and she was the only one speaking Mandarin the entire time. And yes, she didn't speak English, but yeah, everyone understood. I'm like, why? It's just odd to me. Even like they did the same thing, let's see, Ghost in the Shell. I'm like, they did the same thing with the Japanese, like the captain, who spoke English when it's dubbed. He did speak English, so I don't know why did they have him speak only in Japanese. It was just odd. I don't know why these directors just had the Japanese characters speak Japanese. They didn't expect the Russian to speak Russian, or the German to speak German, or all this other stuff. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know. Also, she is actually the top 5 Forbes Celebrity 100. She's ranked from 2004 to 2010. Zing ranked top 5s in the Forbes China Celebrity 100s list. Yeah, she was like, wow. She has a huge resume, in China. So yeah. Oh, by the way, she's gonna be on Godzilla King of Monsters. Yep. She was in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, House of Flying Daggers. Oh, she was Karai in the 2007 TMNT. Yeah, that was awesome. Which, by the way, I mean, that's, I'm surprised they, in the whole movie remake and side sequel series, I'm surprised they haven't made a Karai movie yet. And now, since I said it, it's probably in the works right now. And I am so sorry. Who knows? Who owns the rights to TMNT anyway? But hey, maybe they might make a good Karai movie. Who knows? Something in the comment section, by the way. Back to the point. Let's see. Yeah. So in the movie, they have a gyroscope. Everything's looking to be. So yeah, they have this gyroscope, and it goes to other universes and dimensions. And it looks like everything looks. And they finally like, oh my gosh, you have a stable beam. But then it overloads, creates a power surge in the station, and then, well, after all that happens, you got, restoring basic power. They you realize, oh crap, Earth is missing. They just Earth, poo, gone. It's there. The crew is thinking about, oh my gosh, did we kill everybody? But that's not the thing. They thought they killed everybody, but no, Earth is fine. They just moved to another place. They pushed themselves up there, but we don't know where. And then you have something that's going on. You have Volkov, the Russian, who was feeling something crawling in his skin, and those wounds did not. And sadly, it didn't heal. Those wounds did not heal. And then it was compelled to craft a gun that would help, and think that would help him, but in the end didn't. And then he used a gun, and then he's like try to take like Smith and Pam. It's like, oh, we're gonna get you, and he just, convulses and dies. And then all the station colonies worms that somehow got in there, and then boosh, explode. Which I'm like, okay, this is getting a little weird. And then all of a sudden, and then before that, by the way, before that, we have an unfamiliar woman called Jensen fused with the wires inside the walls after all that type of stuff. After everything has happened, you had that. Then you had the person with the worms exploding, and then you have Chris O'Dowd's Mundy. Let's say that's the character's name. By the way, what's Chris O'Dowd? I think I know him from. Yeah, he was just this. Elsa Rhodes. Yeah, he was Richard in Thor: The Dark World. So yeah, that's something. Also, he's probably mostly in TV because it's like he was in the It Crowd, Monster vs. Aliens, the voice work, Girls, the HBO show. Yeah. Anyway, he loses his arm. And yeah, he loses his arm. His arm gets pulled into the wall, then it gets shoved clean off. Then they find the arm just crawling and crawling, doing everything else. And then, when it was trying to write something, it said, cut open Volko's body, and they find the missing gyroscope. Okay, this is getting really weird at this point. And then it's like, okay, we find Earth. But then they finally locate Earth, and they realize the Cloverfield station was destroyed and fell to Earth. But then they realize, holy crap, we're not in our universe, but in a different universe. And the conspiracy theorist was right. The Cloverfield Paradox was real. Dun, dun, dun. Meanwhile, we have Michael driving around since in the Earth. Nothing really is happening down there. Like, he's driving around, all this other stuff, what's going on, and trying to find, and he finds this little girl down there. A little girl who was screaming her head like, I'm like, okay, calm down. I know there's something like, because the building exploded and that sort of thing. And, he wakes up, with destruction plan, supposedly a silhouette of a giant monster. Then he he's going to the hospital to say what's going to happen. Then he tells a young girl named Molly and destroy it. Exactly. Then he's like, okay, we're going to the hospital. And then he's like, okay, we're going to take you to an underground shelter, belong to a friend, which somehow has an underground shelter, and tends to say, okay, everything's okay. Now, back to the ship, it's like, okay, what's going on? One of the crew members is dead, and then, they say, okay, we're in another universe. Let's go in and try to repair it. Try to go back home. But then, then you have this happens. Tam, who was saying we need to vent the stuff, and then next thing you know, something happens, and then she gets killed via, water comes in because of reasons, and then next she gets frozen in space because of water pressure, and then she just dies. She just dies in a weird freak accident. Is it because of the universe type of thing, or it was like malicious intent by the computer? We don't know. And I'm like, how just she died? And then, meanwhile, after all this happens, she realized, and they realized that Hamilton's like, I have to go back home. Go back to Earth because decides to return to Jensen. This is Jensen's Earth, by the way. And the reason why Jensen is she was like, okay, what's going on? I was the shepherd, the leader, and then you had Smith in her dimension betray everyone else because German intelligence. And heck, Smith was basically locked up because of that. They didn't realize it was from another universe, and that was that universe, and then it got really convoluted. That's one of my problems with the movie. It got way convoluted, way fast. You just didn't. It's like, ugh, why should we care? It's like it was that. It was just getting too full of itself. It just crammed a lot of stuff into it, and you just didn't actually care for most of it. It was just a frustrating mess, and I hate that because there is some good parts in this movie. I like there's good tension, some good stuff here, and I'm like, man, this could be really good, but they tried to fit in way too much. And then they had to put the Hamilton stuff, which honestly they could have just cut that out, and maybe they want to have a temptation there, but it just, I don't know. It just feels like it was just they had to add this whole thing, the tension, her leaving and not leaving, that sort of thing. But anyway, they said Hamilton decides to return to Jensen Earth to be with her children, even though her life is, she's still alive there, and so is her husband as well. I'm like, you do realize, that's gonna freak them out. And secondly, you're from another dimension. Who knows what's gonna happen when you go to that Earth? What's gonna happen? You're gonna have some type of disease or something. You might automatically kill your own kids, and that sort of thing. But no, Hamilton was thinking, just she wanted to see him, and I get that part. I mean, a mother wants to see her children again, and losing them in such type of violent fashion, you will get that. But she does learn this by the way, but. Yeah, just like a little foresight, hey, you don't know what type of things this dimension can do. We're already seeing this weird stuff happening in the ship, and all this other stuff. What thing's gonna happen when you get to Earth? Get to that Earth? You might put your people in danger, or worse, you might put your family in danger. That sort of thing. And I understand the emotion. Heck, if I was in a place, I would consider that stuff too. If I lost my family and such like that in another world there, the temptation would be there, and such. And I would probably be fighting. That's actually, I would say that would be a good fight. My personal thing, I could be a fight for it. But, I actually would be like, yeah. But she does eventually realize that, she had to go back home. But anyway. As they repaired, Mundy is killed by an explosion because she was like, oh, this weird magnetic field, and he just kept looking at the magnets and just like, ooh, let me touch this stuff. Meanwhile, the phone was coming right at him, and then didn't know what's going on. Next year, he's like, oh, what? And he gets stabbed, just dies after all that. And then the CO2 comes in, it explodes, and then boom, another part of the ship was just like a part of the ship is now destroyed. And I'm like, wow. This death would have been so much, this was like, what? If you didn't start looking at the weird magnetic stuff, why don't you get out the room? Seriously, you had time. You're like, okay, let me get out of here so I won't get hurt or anything else. But no, I'm just going to stare at this stuff. It just, dope. Oh, these magnets, how do they work? Just get himself killed. And then you have the noble leader sacrifice himself to disengage the wildly spinning accelerator ring that was jeopardizing the whole station. And then guess who? He's like, go, I'll be fine. And then just unlocks the thing and boom, disengage the spinning ring that was jeopardizing the whole thing. And then he does his noble sacrifice. And then, and then. Now with Shepard ready to activate again, Hamilton was going to leave with Jensen, but then Jensen just does a heel turn out of nowhere, and then Jensen kills Monk with the gun Volkov build, wounds Smith, and says the station must stay in her universe, but to keep the Shepard there, regaining to keep the Shepard device here so they can fix things so her Earth could be just fine. And then she woke. And then Hamilton just I don't know. That was like a minute later. I mean, just like the way it was framed, it was like she just hit her, and then like a couple seconds later, she just woke up again. I'm like, really? Dang, out of that gun didn't really have that much weight to it, or Jensen just can't hit. She's like, wham. Usually when you get a gun to the face, that locks people out for a good while. She gets up like at 5 seconds later. Dang, man. Talk about no selling. And then after she Hamilton goes in that fight and everything else, and then she used the gun to shoot the window, after a video of her family and everything else, shoots the window, and thus injecting Jensen into space. And after that, Hamilton decides to return to the universe, makes a recording for the alternate universe self, giving her the plans for another Shepherd's device, and hopefully this Earth can use it and fix it and help save the world, and help save that planet. And then says, hey, your family, hug them close and care for them. Love them. Love your family. Hug them close. And then, that sort of thing. And that stuff. And then Hamilton and Smith reverse the universe shift and uses the 10 modifications to make the Shepherd finally work. And then, after reporting in, they said they eject themselves in vaccination console towards Earth. Then meanwhile, Michael then returns to the station. And during some mission control, the station reappears and his wife returns to Earth. And he says, what? And he gets angry. He says, don't tell him to return to Earth. Don't tell him to return to Earth. And then the castle returns to Earth. And guess what else? We see old Clovey comes up. A bigger Cloverfield, thus uniting the entire Cloverfield saga. Wait. Hold up. This took place in 2028. And there was no mention of the baby Cloverfield that happened in 2008. So, what? Did that universe finally have a Clover monster? Is that the same Clover monster? Now I'm just more confused, and I didn't know what. I'm just more confused. And the ending, just like, yeah, this is just a really odd way to end a movie. And now people are saying that pod was connected to the one that was, in the last part of Cloverfield, which doesn't even begin to make sense, because the Clover monster appeared right next to them, and the Cloverfield monster appeared like that night. It didn't appear in April. It just doesn't make any logical sense, and that's the real problem. Is this movie did not need to be named Cloverfield, because it felt like they had to just jam all this stuff in, and when you jam all that stuff in, it just makes it all bloated. And it makes the movie bloated, and quite honestly, wastes the talent on the movie. Wastes the talent, and it just really wastes the talent of a lot of these really good actors. They did their jobs well, but the movie just couldn't code together. There's too much stuff there. I wish they could just made. They should have just made this to like a mini series. I think it would have flowed a lot better, and you had much more connection to the audience, maybe more connection to the other. Other than Hamilton and all that stuff, we don't know any of the backstories there. They're just there. We didn't really have any connection, like we're supposed to care about these people, but we don't. All we have is Hamilton is our proxy, and that's one of the problems of this film, is that they're okay, but they're just blank sheets of paper, and you should feel. If you are going to have these deaths mean something, make them mean something that the characters, make them mean something. Make it meaningful. And tell them why they're going up there. Or maybe a little something to your families about that. Talk about their families and talk about everything else. Just like the only one who has a family there, the only one who actually matters is Hamilton. And that's sad. And I really wish they could have fixed that. And I think a miniseries would have fixed that. Like a 5-episode or 10-episode miniseries would have really, a 6-7 episode miniseries would have really helped. And you could have kept the same ending, maybe, but maybe just dump the Cloverfield stuff and just call it the God Particle or something like that, because I think it would have been a lot better off to do so. Anyway, that's it for the show, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you like that movie review. Maybe I could do a less rambling version of it, and a video version of that if you want me to. Anyway, that's it for me, Dukect CT, for this Dukect Lounge. Anyway, thanks so much for listening and watching on YouTube and on Man Expression and on freakingawesomenetwork.com. Thank you so much for listening and watching. This is Dukect here. Peace and love. I will see y'all when I see y'all later.